Today we're going to be taking a look at dividing polynomials. So we're going to be using a couple different methods, and one is long division and the other is synthetic division. Before we get to both of those methods, I'm going to show you how division by a monomial works out. So in this case, we have just one term that we're dividing by. And when you have one term, it's not the most common thing, but when that happens, you have to remember that this term was actually the denominator of every single one of these parts in the numerator. So before this became one fraction, this was actually four separate fractions, all with the same denominator. So when we divide, we want to keep that in mind. And just to visualize it a little bit, you don't really have to do this every time, but we're going to unsimplify it so that we can see what it looked like before it was one fraction. So this would be 3x to the fifth y squared all over that denominator. All right, then we have minus, as we have a minus here, 15x cubed y all over that same denominator, minus again, x squared y all over x squared y, minus 6x all over x squared y. So what I did is I basically unsimplified it. And when we divide, you don't actually need to write it out like this, but you do need to think this way. Every single term in the numerator needs to be divided by that denominator. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that would look like. So here, let's go ahead and divide the constants. This is technically 3 divided by 1, so we have 3. X to the fifth divided by x squared, we subtract the exponent, so we get x cubed. Y squared divided by y, again we subtract and we get y. Let's take a look at the next part. I'm going to bring down the minus. 15 divided by 1 is 15. X cubed divided by x squared is x. And these y's cancel out, they technically equal 1. Minus x squared y over x squared y, well that's the same numerator over the same denominator, so that just equals 1. Let's take a look at the next part. We have minus. And here, before I start writing out my terms, I'm kind of planning ahead. I can see that there's going to be a numerator and a denominator in this because the y's are not going to cancel out. So here, for the x's, I can take away an x here and an x here, so what I'm left with is a 6 in the numerator and an xy in the denominator. So this is my final answer. That last part is almost like a remainder. You're going to see more of that when we start doing long division and synthetic division, but this is the way that we divide by a monomial.